Hello guys, and welcome to another video and welcome to another race. So this is the season 1 of the exhibition series 23, the 24 Nations Cup. And yeah, this is where you cannot actually qualify for a live event, but it's, you know, it's a good series. We can still have some decent racing in here. So 4GT was the car of choice. You could have probably picked a different car. I think the AMG was one of the different cars that you could possibly use. And also you can possibly notice that I'm missing a couple of frames. I try to fix that with the optical flow fix. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be as great as I expected, but yeah, this video was actually shot in 30 FPS. Somehow I'm actually trying to convert it into 60 FPS, but yeah, it is what it is. My bad, I guess. And yeah, this was my qualifying lap, which only got me into the top 10. And here I picked up a 1 second penalty, which was quite amazing for me. I couldn't quite believe, you know, it's just the worst spot to pick up a penalty. I mean, the lap wasn't as great as I expected it to be. It just P10 isn't something that you're always aiming for. I think it's the goal is always to pick up at least a top 5 to get probably the best race out there. So here we are starting here 12 laps, and we also have strong slipstream, which means that yeah, it's gonna be easy to catch up the guys in front of you if you're in the slipstream range. So usually you get a couple of tenths on the straight, but here with this car and with the strong slipstream, you can I think it's even about a second of difference. So if you're in the slipstream or not, I think in the end it's quite a big difference. So here, going for a move straight on, I didn't really wait that long. So going for the move on the AMG, and eventually on the outside, I think he gave me a little bit more space. He didn't want to get that damage because we got the heavy damage here. And yeah, that was move well done into P11. So yeah, I guess, you know, from P12 into P11, it could have been a little bit better. I could have got a better starting position, but you know, getting one place isn't that bad at all. So here, I'm looking at the first lap here, and now you can really see the effects of the slipstream. So even if you're like I would say a couple of tenths behind, you got these decreased air and wind resistance, which is basically slipstream, and this one was set as strong. So it was, you know, it's quite a difference. And now we got into this little bit of a mess. I don't think the other guys actually expected to have such a huge boost on the straight. I mean, I think it was like a very, you know, a very huge difference. And also heavy damage stays for the whole race, and you need to pit to actually fix it. And now yeah, this was a situation where I didn't know if I gave him enough space. I don't think he kind of realized it. And in the end, I think I was the only guy that didn't pick up any kind of damage. I don't know how it happened, because everyone around me, including like even the leaders and, you know, the guys around me, everyone picked up some kind of damage, and I was clean. I had absolutely no damage whatsoever, and I had a pretty huge crash. Let's be honest, that was a pretty big one. And yeah, even up to P8, what can I even say? No damage for me, I guess. I don't even know how that happened, but I guess I was lucky. I don't know how my car didn't get any damage from that, because it was such a huge hit. But then eventually I realized that these guys are kind of slower than me in the middle section, and they're eventually not as fast as they should be on the straight. So I thought to myself, maybe they have a little bit of damage. And once again into this hairpin, and you can see that I actually once again got into the slipstream. And as I said before, the slipstream is quite strong, so you can eventually, even if you're this far out, you can eventually pick up that speed, and you can eventually get closer to these guys. And I was like, okay, on P11 we had like a couple of these things that were already going on, and I can see all of these guys going like 4 wide in turn 1. So you know, this is not gonna look good, and you know, it's heavy damage, so you gotta be super careful. So if you have engine damage, if you have any kind of heavier damage on the car, that pretty much means that your race is over. You have to pit, you're gonna lose 20 seconds, and this was also a race where this was basically a no stopping race. So just go, do your thing, and no stopping, no strategy, no nothing, but you know, let's see who's the fastest guy out there for 12 laps. So it was, I wouldn't say that was quite a long race, but it was about 20 minutes in the end. So you still had to be careful about some things, and you know, not pushing every single corner, not every single lap. So you know, I don't know how to explain it, but it was it was also a part of the strategy, so not pushing as hard as you normally would, staying in the slipstream and just avoiding any kind of damage. And you know, I really tried to follow that pattern, man. I really tried to see, okay, maybe it's not the best thing to go for a move in every single corner, but this one really opened up, and I think the Italian just in front of me, I think he just barely missed his braking point, or you know, now when I'm thinking about it and when I edit this video, I realized that he maybe wanted to give me a little bit more space. So I'm very glad that he did, because he really opened that corner up for me and gave just about enough space so we can all get through that corner safely. So that was, you know, that was a good one. I mean, really nice one. So into first turn, as usual, there is a little bit of contact, nothing too much. So yeah, you know, thinking about all of the other guys around you, it's not that easy. So you have to think about 4 other drivers around you and what they are supposed to do. So it's not an easy task, definitely. Going into this corner, I'm really trying to keep my position here. And somehow, after all of that, I got myself into P8, and Damien in front of me had half a second penalty. And actually, in the end, it was Ari and Damien, they both had half a second penalties, which meant that I will potentially get that place. So I think, yeah, Ari actually had a 1.5 second penalty, so it was quite a big one, because it's on the straight and you would lose a lot of time. And yeah, 1.5 seconds, it's even a half a second penalty is not a half a second penalty, it's more, it's about 7 to 8 tenths. So you lose a lot of time, and now you can really see the effects of the slipstream. So I was out of the slipstream, and you can see how quickly they're going off. I mean, just a little contact there, I kind of got myself into the wall there. And yeah, what can I even say? And Atomic's waiting for me because he realized that he kind of pushed me into the wall. So, you know, fair one. Really appreciate that move. And yeah, I mean, when you're out of the slipstream, the guys that are in the slipstream they are just gonna fly away into the distance, and there's nothing much that you can do about it. So here, into lap 5, once again the hairpin, the slowest part of the whole course and one of the most difficult parts of the whole course, because everyone is trying to get a place or two, everyone is trying to slow down, but you know, there is only spot for one man into that P5, P6, or even that position. And now I'm just trying to go on the outside here. Eventually I did it. I don't know how, but I think it was because he had so much damage on the car that I was a little bit quicker on the straight. And even here, braking point, I'm just trying to mind the gap. Let's see how this is going to work out. Third gear, pushing the power down, and I was putting the radar on just to see where the other guys were at. So this was, you know, from my end, I think this was very careful decision to do, or a very careful driving that I did here, because I didn't want to push, I didn't want to get myself into that, let's say, dangerous spot or dangerous position, not even getting a penalty. So, you know, I got the penalty in the qualifying, and, you know, starting from P12 isn't the best thing that you can do. And now the Italian in front of me, I'm just trying to see what I can do, and I actually did a little bit of a bump draft to him, because there is no point of fighting now, because we're just gonna lose time. And eventually, if you push the guy in front of you, he will pick up a little bit of speed, and I think it's just because of that little extra speed that he carried into the turn, he missed his braking point, which is very easy to do here. Usually, you would, for example, brake at the 150 mark, now you gotta brake at like 200 meter mark, so it's quite a big difference. You're carrying a lot more speed. And now Ari in front of me, once again, I try to give him a little bit of a push, because now I kind of got myself into that, okay, maybe, you know what, maybe there is a possibility of even reaching up to top 5. So, you know what, the leader is not that far off. So you see, not even 7 seconds in front of us. I got the slipstream, and if I can give him a little bit of a push on the straight, we can potentially get a place or two, both of us. So basically, I'm physically pushing the guy in front of me to gain an advantage, which is, I think it's even forbidden in the live events. But here in the exhibition series and even in the online races, you can do it. So you can gain an advantage, you can catch up with the guys in front of you if you bump draft the guy in front. So it's not losing time, because you're pushing the guy, he's gaining an increased straight line speed, and eventually you're not fighting with him. So you're not losing time because of the fight, and you're gaining a bit of speed on the straight. So we actually yeah, we were actually able to catch Antonio. I mean, he was just about in the slipstream range now. As you can see here, he's just in the hairpin, and we are just making it through the hairpin. So one more push, I would say 1 or 2 more pushes, and we would eventually get up to that P5. So this was looking good because I started in P12, now I'm in P7. I can see the guy behind me, so Damien was really quick. And Ari, I think he even set, I think it was the 2nd fastest lap time in the world, and I spent about 15 to 20 minutes practicing for this one, and I said to myself, you know what, if I can keep this place, I'm okay with this, you know, I'm very happy with the race, and I'm probably not gonna go again, and I'm probably not gonna race again, but here, you know, P7, you know, possibility of even reaching P5, so, you know, maybe we can do something. So I'll try to push as much as I can, but also I have to think about it. So maybe at some point it's actually not worth pushing the guy in front of you, or you might even push him a little bit more just to gain a little bit more of advantage. So it was really a debate in my head here, because you got very long straights, and now we even got Antonio. So I was able to overtake Antonio, but I didn't really want to overtake Ari, because he's gonna give me the slipstream on the straight, and if I'm out of the slipstream, I will be probably losing about, I would say, a second on the straight. So yeah, it was quite a big difference. So I wanted that slipstream, I really did. So I gave a little bit of space to Antonio, but I still stayed in the slipstream from Ari. And then you can really start to see the advantage. And now I was going a little bit too quick to, you know, to eventually bump draft him. And yeah, that's where I realized, okay, maybe it's not something that I want to do, because I would eventually get damaged. So yeah, now I'm losing 2 places. They went to the inside, but I was like, okay, we got 3 more laps. Maybe, you know, at this point it's not worth fighting as much. And now Antonio had 1 second penalty, which realistically means that you're gonna lose about 1.5 seconds, maybe even 2 seconds on the straight. And now once again, P5, P6, me and Ari, and I can already see a couple of guys behind me. They're all aiming for the spot. So one kind of bigger difference would mean that we're all gonna lose this P5 and even P6, and these guys from the back will eventually take it. So I did the timing just about all right. I didn't want to have kind of a huge hit to him. I didn't really want to get like a huge hit having any kind of damage, and it was still carrying just about enough speed, and you can really start to see the differences now. So usually you would brake at 150, but now with the increased speed you couldn't brake at 150. And on top of that, these guys all around me had damage, so the damage didn't go away, it stayed for the whole race, because once again we had heavy damage. So they could have pitted, but that doesn't make much sense, because you lose about 20 seconds in the pits. You know, you can just stay away, use the slipstream, use that strong slipstream, because it's really making a difference. And now I started to really think about what am I gonna do next. I didn't want to overtake in the last lap, I was waiting for the last straight. So this was kind of the mindset that I had. I didn't want to go for that move. I really didn't want to go for that place. I probably could have, but there was no point of doing something like that. So braking bias at 5, I really want to get that rotation through the middle of the corner, and yeah, just save up a bit of that rotation. And you can see that he got slightly too much rotation through the corner, which meant that he started to slide, and eventually which led to him picking up that penalty. So it was kind of a bit too much sliding, and on top of that, you know, handing out a 1 second penalty just for, I guess it was abusing track limits, but at the worst possible place. So now this meant that I got Damien and I got Antonio behind, which are once again going to be in the slipstream, but now I am in the slipstream. So what will happen now? So I'm trying to think it to my head, what is the best possible idea out of all of that? And then I saw, okay, Damien has that penalty, he's gonna lose a little bit more time. So Damien and Ari are kind of out of this one, but maybe they can get through. So I just decided to brake super late. I even think that I was kind of braking a little bit late at this point, but you know what? I got the acceleration done, and Antonio was in the slipstream, so I knew, okay, he will get into the slipstream, and then eventually on the straight he will be able to overtake me. But for some reason he decided to go wide. I think he just wanted to time it right. But then Damien taken the most out of the situation, and he's eventually pushing himself into that P6 spot and attacking me for P5, but just couldn't do it. So I was able to keep my P5, finish the race in P5, starting from P12. And in the end, you know, when I was looking at this whole situation, I realized, okay, timing was just about right for Damien. Antonio gave him slightly too much slightly too much space and he pushed himself into P6. So I would say in the end, going from P12 into P5 and, you know, just 7 seconds off the leader and 353 points, which in the end got me into P9 in the region. And what can I even say? I was pretty happy with this race and the end result. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed in this one as well. And if you did, you can also hit that like button, or you might even want to subscribe. So once again, until the next time, bye.